let's just get into, what I like to talk about, which is, some nerdy shit, which is Barry season 2. It's not really nerdy. It's a great fucking show, and I highly recommend you watch the first one. I reviewed the first season on the last episode, so check that out. But I finished season 2, I think, a couple of days ago, and yeah, let's talk about how good is season 2 compared to season 1. Well, again, if you're unfamiliar with Barry, check out my first season review. I go over the synopsis. It's Bill Hader is the main character. He plays a guy named Barry Berkman. And he's a hitman, and he finds out that he wants to become an aspiring actor. He wants to become an actor. So that's where we are at the story. He's in the L.A. and he's trying to struggle both his work with being a hitman and trying to become an actor. So that's the show premise. And here it takes place pretty much right after season 1, I believe. But yeah, season 2 somehow is even darker and more hilarious than the first season. I mean, maybe not more hilarious. I think the first season's pretty funny, but like the second season definitely goes to some places that are really pretty dark. I mean, I'm not saying the first season doesn't have, dark shit happen in there. But in this one, it gets pretty dark as well. But I mean, this is all also kind of because that we're so emotionally invested in the characters at this point, like obviously I'm involved with Barry, but his relationship with Fuchs and with his with Mr. Cousineau, his teacher, and also Sally's story is a lot more engaging, I feel like, and I care about it a lot more in the second season. We'll get into that a little bit more later in the review. But yeah, so a lot of all these really good shows and fantastic shows know how to really ramp it up or take it up a notch with these second and maybe third seasons and really like kind of get going, and because mainly they know what they are and what they're doing and have a vision of where they want to go with the show. And this is no different from those amazing shows. I mean, everything like technically from a technical standpoint is better. I mean, the acting is a lot more impressive. The shot quality is, I mean, it was great in the first season, but it's amazing here as well. The writing, again, I praised the writing in the first season, how stuff, from like the very beginning of the show comes back and plays a role at the very end. That's really cool, and that still works. That still happens here, and just the tone is even just it's like a slightly different, like everything kind of like I said, kind of gets ramped up more, like the craziness. There's a certain episode that I'll get into a little bit later that is just insane. It's also the season's a lot darker. The comedic moments really also still really hit. I mean, it still can be really funny at times, but more of a dark comedy type of feel, not just like, oh, that was funny. But yeah, so let's just get into a little bit more specifics. Like I said, the acting is phenomenal. I think everyone really brings it in this season, like everyone, but especially Sally, the chick who plays Sally, might actually be like the best actor, or has the best performance out of the season, out of the entire ensemble. Like, cause I got really invested with Sally's story in this season. I was kind of like, I mean, she's not really likable in the first season, but you feel for her in the second season. You kind of see why she's the way she is a little bit here, and especially the way her story kind of comes to. I mean, it doesn't come to an end, but like where it ends up at the very end, kind of a sort of a darker tone, but really fitting how Hollywood doesn't really want truth. They just kind of want what they want. And if, if it's not 100% true, they don't really give a shit. They just want to know if it's good or not. So kind of lets you into the whole entertainment industry in general, and kind of gives you like a feel for, how, you really get started. And I like that a lot about the show. It has a lot of, it's very cool in that way. I really appreciate that, along with it being like, a hitman trying to be an actor. But yeah, She also has this like really long, like surprisingly long monologue in the middle of the season, or like towards the end, and like I was kind of blown away how good it was, and how I was just like, whoa, okay. That's probably Emmy worthy right there. I mean, that's kind of what the Emmys probably look for, right? Is those long emotional monologues, but she delivered it perfectly, and I was like, whoa. It really made me fall in love with her as a character. I think Sally really won me over this season because I was kind of on the fence with her in the first season, and the second season really, hammers the Sally character home with the likability and feeling for her character. She's really talented. The girl who plays Sally, what's her name? Sarah Goldberg. She does a fantastic job as Sally. But not to say no other actors really bring it. I mean, all of them do. Bill Hader again delivers a fantastic performance as Barry. He also directs his own episode in this season. I don't know if he directed any episodes in the first season, or I think this was the only one he directed in the second. But you can definitely tell which one he directed. I mean, just because the episode that he directed, you're either gonna love it, kind of like I did, or you're just gonna be like, I don't really know what the fuck I just watched with that episode, because it's insane. It's really insane. Sorry, my mouth is getting really dry. But yeah. I mean, the episode is kind of like a standalone. Like, if you pluck the episode out of the season, nothing really would change. But the episode, I feel, is kind of necessary because it doesn't really it develops the whole Fuchs and Barry relationship, and you see why, like, how Barry kind of got into the workings with Fuchs, and like how that relationship developed, and how Barry sees Fuchs in his mind, and how Fuchs sees Barry. And just again, it's also a really funny episode. It's probably the funniest episode in the season. It's mainly because it's so insane. But it's important to see where, how, to really go in depth with the understanding of Fuchs's and Barry's relationship. But yeah, also there's this little girl in the one episode, and she's fucking amazing. I hope she comes back. I have a feeling that she's probably not going to, but I really hope she does in some way, in some capacity. I will say the episode kind of gave me some Quentin Tarantino vibes a little bit, like Kill Bill vibes a little bit. So if that's something that intrigues you, you'll probably really like the episode. But you kind of have to be a little bit open-minded because it is insane, and it is really crazy, and it's a lot different from any other episode of Barry that I have seen. So yeah, but I think it's a really great and incredibly well made episode, and really incredibly well directed. I mean, bravo, Bill Hader. I mean, well done. But I think probably my only criticism of the season would be that there's kind of a little bit lacking of Hank, NoHo Hank, the Chechen gangster who has like a heart of gold and is hilarious and probably the funniest part of the show. He kind of takes a little bit of a back seat in this season, which I was a little bit disappointed with. I kind of wanted a little bit more of him. I mean, he's still there, and he still has his scenes and his moments and his hilarity, but I mean, it's not as prominent, and I didn't think it's not really as funny. I don't know. I hope they do something a little bit more with this character in the third season. That's just how I felt. That was pretty much my only criticism. I mean, again, the last couple episodes have these like insane cliffhangers. I mean, thanks to the creators of this show, I got literally zero sleep when I finished this show, because I just watched until like midnight, or like 12:30, and I had to get up at 5:30 to go to work the next morning, so I was incredibly tired. So thank you for that. Mainly because these cliffhangers are just insane. And they're like the fuck you type of cliffhangers. Like, fuck you, you're gonna have to watch the next one. You can't just stop here. So good thing. I mean, again, I also thought there was a third season, and then so let's just imagine how I felt with the ending of the second season on this massive cliffhanger. It's a good one. Like it's gonna keep me from like me coming back, so it does its job. It's like, well, I have to watch the next season now because I have to see what happens. It's one of those. But fuck you anyway, man. Leaving me. Oh, I'm just spilling water everywhere. I'm spilling water everywhere. This is just absolute. What am I gonna do with you, Mike? This is why I can't. This is why we can't have nice things, Mike. Because you just make messes everywhere. Oh, God damn it, Mike! You stupid idiot. But anyway, yeah. I mean, hats off to the writers from just making me love their show, and it does a really great job. But yeah, the drawbacks of binging shows, man. When it's over, you feel shitty. It's like, I really wish there was more. I really thought there was a third season, but I guess there's not. I don't know when there's gonna be another one. I mean, again, with this whole COVID thing, I'm sure all these productions are being heavily delayed, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna be probably starting up again. I mean, the country's opening up. I know a couple of counties. I have to look. Our Pennsylvania governor had a press conference, I believe, yesterday about some counties going in the green or being a little bit more opened up. I don't think my county is. I think my county's still in the yellow, but it doesn't really matter because I'm working. So, but yeah. So yeah, Barry. Check it out. I highly recommend it. It's one of those incredibly good dark comedies. If you like, if you like dark comedy, definitely check this one out. It's worth it. I know, having HBO and paying for it can be, I don't know, it's kind of with Game of Thrones, kind of leaving all that poor taste in your mouth the way it ended. Barry is really great. I don't know how good Westworld is, so I don't know if it's worth getting HBO for Barry, but Barry is an incredibly good show and is probably one of the better ones out there that's still ongoing. So yeah, check it out. I highly recommend it. And really funny, really dark. Bill Hader gives the best performance of his best performance of his career. I mean, it's him and Alec Bird's brainchild, this show. So yeah, it's really great. I highly recommend it. It's a great fucking time. It's a great time. So yeah, Barry, check it out. Hello, thanks for watching that clip of my episode of Nerd Out Sanctuary. I appreciate you watching. If you don't know, this is a video podcast about, movies, TV, video games, other types of entertainment, comic books, novels, maybe occasionally. I don't know, I don't really read that much, but when I do, I want to talk about it. So yeah, just know that there's a lot more of these, and I appreciate you if you give me a like and subscribe and watch more. If you're just if you're watching here on YouTube, know that this is also a podcast, an audio podcast. I'm on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play, so you can download my podcast episodes, listen to them while you're driving in the car, taking a shit, making dinner, doing your laundry, or whatever, when you're at work, when you're supposed to be working, but you're just kind of like, mindless, doing some mindless tasks while listening to my podcast. It's the shit. Hopefully you guys, get good recommendations out of me, and hope you guys keep enjoying my show. So yeah, thanks. And bye.